Kassadin coming out on blue side, which is pretty like extraordinary. Usually you'd at least wait until later in the pick phase. They might actually ban it on purple, but Fnatic doesn't even have to worry about Kassadin anymore. They basically get a free ban right here. They're hitting the Eve. They just don't want RNA on like an invisible champion that can show up anywhere. They want to track his movement, just match him, and just don't give him any early pressure. And we saw earlier when RNA doesn't get rolling, the team just can't snowball the lead anymore, and then they start to like crumble.
Yeah, need him in there and getting going. I mean, Trundle also going to be taken away here against Kevin. He's been fantastic so far in the LCS with that Trundle in the top lane. And then finally for Millenium, a Lulu ban along with Nidalee just before that one. LeBlanc, the final ban coming out from Fnatic. We're going to go straight into the picks here because they're coming in quickly.
Yeah.
Ziggs, first choice for Millenium.
Well, it's almost going too quick for us to talk about. Really just putting curb on that like massive wave clear champion. Immediate reaction, Renekton tank top, really solid. Soas is done playing AP, and the Elise in the jungle. And now it's up to Millenium to counter.
Two big picks there for Fnatic, two very strong picks right now. And actually, we're going to see Hecarim coming out here for RNA. He was one of the only junglers that really ran with him back in Season 3. We see Olaf coming out as well. What do we make of those two picks?
I'm not sure. I hope like they're aiming for a Sivir, and then I hope Fnatic realizes this and just like, well, Sivir is open, why not take it? Against these massive, like all-in type of champions that rely on move speed and getting in close, a Sivir will work wonders getting away from them. I guess, yeah, Millenium's going with the curveball comfort champions, and they just want to catch Fnatic off guard because, let's face it, none of us have played against Hecarim much.
Well,
let alone at a tournament level.
Yeah, and if there's a time ever to really throw a curveball, it's probably now where you're fighting for your position in the tournament. On the other side, we did see Reckless switching between Lucian and Sivir. Decided to go with Lucian in the end. Gragas in the mid lane there for Peke, and again, they're just throwing these picks out. Zilean, we've seen it before from Jerry, and the Caitlyn for Creatine.
I think Millenium came into this Champions League with a plan. I mean, banning Kassadin on blue side, Lulu on blue side. The Nidalee I can understand, but both of these champions you usually expect to pick up on first rotation and force your enemies to ban. However, instant locking those champions, they came in with a plan. They knew they wanted to play this. Can't say I 100% agree with the plan, but I never ever been more gladly or ready to be surprised.
Well, on the other side, Fnatic going to finish off here with a support pick. And actually, everyone on the Fnatic side picking their champions coming into this one, interestingly enough. So, Leona, Lucian, how would that match up? Well, will match up here because they lock in the Leona against a Caitlyn Zilean lane. And will we see swaps from that?
Not even sure like that I like picking Leona right here. I feel Leona's going to have a hard time blocking. Like, you can't really touch the Olaf. She can try and snipe the Ziggs, but it's going to be hard. Hecarim is going to like barge right through you. And then you got to get to a Caitlyn on lane, which is pretty hard. I guess it's good against a Zilean because you want to lock him down and burst him. But even then, I'm not too big of a fan. I would have rather had like see a Thresh here. Just stand a little more back, peel, put the box down, like knock back, interrupt the Hecarim, and just lantern somebody out if he's caught.
What about the experience factor here with Zilean? Because we've seen it before where their mid and top laners have got that little bit ahead because of the passive of Zilean. How much does it factor in this game?
It's going to be really hard to dive the top lane. Usually XP lead plus jungler and top lane earlier to level 6 can lead to a dive, but Renekton is probably the hardest champion to dive, so that's not going to work. In the mid lane, however, they might be able to force the Gragas out, but even then, displacement from Peke, it's hard to going to capitalize on that dive. Maybe Ziggs can push up and roam with an early ulti and just put tower pressure. I'm still waiting to see like where it comes together for Millenium. I hope I'm missing like some really key aspect of this team composition that I later can say like, ah, yeah, that was
the thing that we were missing. I mean, you've got to factor in you can't stop Olaf charging straight through with Ghost on there, with that speed boost from Zilean as well. You're obviously going to have Hecarim, who's just massively quick, doing exactly the same. Ghost and Smite for Aranea there with Hecarim in the jungle. How do you protect your AD carry from this kind of comp?
Yeah, but what do you need to protect him from, though? It's just the sheer amount of damage you're going to need to protect him from. But there's no hard CC coming out, and Lucian's dash resets slow as well. If he gets hit by an axe, dash out, slow is gone. Yeah, Hecarim can terrify him maybe, but that's about it. So Lucian walks back in fights, pops the culling, and then the rest of the Fnatic lineup is pretty tanky.
So here we go then, in-game between Millenium and Fnatic at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. And as I said, for one of these teams, this is the end of the road. But which one will it be? We'll be finding out in the coming moments. And, oh, I say moments, minutes, and who knows, maybe even over an hour. Depends how this game's going to go. We've seen amazing games so far here. Hopefully this one matches up to it as well.
The recent patch didn't change all too much. Top laner still sporting the Doran shield. Point of debate maybe the support. Going for coin on Zilean, a very, very laid back laning phase item. Definitely wants to rush the talisman. He wants a CDR. He doesn't care about the extra damage from spell thieves as much. He knows he wants a talisman and he's already building for it. I agree with the Leona Doran shield. I don't think Relic is amazing. I'd rather have the Leona get as tanky as she can, get in the face of the Zilean and just try and force him out of lane, and that way get an advantage. Caitlyn does counterpick Lucian a fair bit, so the edge should be on Millenium, given that they had the counterpicks in lane, but I can see Fnatic's bot lane being capable enough to deal with it.
And once that talisman comes in there, well, it just fits into what they're going for, which is all-out speed from Millenium. Get onto your target as fast as you possibly can. And it looks like we are going to be seeing the teams matching up evenly as expected in lanes. Olaf versus Renekton in the top lane. Has that changed with 4.3? How does that one balance out?
Well, is he there? Is he going there though? Like they saw Renekton leave, Lucian switched over, so it does look like Fnatic's going for the lane swap. With Leona, I'm not so sure about that. Why would you lane swap the Leona into top lane? He's going to have a hard time pushing that tower. Renekton's not even jungling. They probably predicted a counter swap from Millenium. Maybe they've been doing this in scrims. That's like the rationale they could be having. But I think Millenium has an edge already. Fnatic was forced to react early and is put in a pretty bad spot already. They need to get dives going with their jungler to remedy this situation, or else Millenium is just going to get a tower up really early.
Now we see the help from Kevin going through the jungle. Knows that this 2v1's coming in, so knows that he's not really missing out on too much. But let's talk about the 2v1s. Who's going to have the advantage between Olaf and Renekton when it comes to that switch?
Both of them do really well in 2v1s. Thing is, Millenium wasn't really ready for this, so they had to adapt. But at the same time, Soaz didn't really jungle too much either, so both of them are going into the same way. Olaf just needs to avoid getting dove. And yeah, you can see already what's going to happen. They're going to chip away at this tower, and Elise needs to be bottom, but she started at the other side of the map, so she's going to have to dive Olaf. It's crucial. If that dive doesn't go well or goes too slow, this tower is going to be gone, and by that moment, like, Millenium will be in charge. At the same time, these mid laners open up with no jungle pressure. That's why teams usually swap, but why does it matter in an AoE farm fest? Ziggs against Gragas is just irrelevant, so we see Elise heading top.
Coming up towards his top side, Kevin has hit level 2 for now. We'll see if Cyanide can have an impact on this top side. Double buffs running for him. Actually going to run straight through by the blue. Sees that the white is available, but that's not really what he's aiming for at this stage. That lane is already pushing in. They're going in for Kevin. What's he going to do with this one? He pops his ghost and actually heads to the top side. Forces the cocoon to miss, but he gets blocked up by Leona. Have they got the finishing blow? There they go. It is going to be first blood for Fnatic and for Cyanide.
This is 100% mistake on Kevin. If you're playing Olaf with ghost and no flash on the lane, don't be under that tower. Make sure you ghost out the second the possibility exists that Elise shows up, because you know this is gonna happen. There's no counter push on bottom, mid's equal. Hecarim is just jungling. Hecarim should have been grouped on bottom right now to push in that tower and push on the next. They need to accelerate that push. They need to be quicker than Fnatic, because Fnatic spent time killing somebody on a tankier turret and they're still tying the goal there, or the tower kill. So that's definitely two big mistakes by Millenium already.
And the fact is, you've got that ward from the trinket as well. With being in that 2v1, you're not really missing much watching the lane. You can back off, put that ward in there that give him that early warning. Doesn't happen though, and actually Peke taking a bit of damage in this mid lane. The bottom turret is actually going to go down, so that will level them up already on towers.
We need Aranea to collapse successfully right now to get Millenium back into this game, or otherwise all the time you spend farming is completely irrelevant and wasted.
Cyanide still hanging around this top lane, having to think about going for Kevin a second time. Actually, they're just going to push in. I mean, they've got minions streaming down from this one. It's 11-4 CS, so Soaz having the better time of that, and Aranea now finally going to come up to this top lane to make sure that they don't get a second early tower.
Millenium is being very indecisive. They shouldn't be afraid of a third tower against what Fnatic is bringing to the table. Leona support should not have that tower pressure like that they're having right now. All they have is dive. It's at least Leona. You know they're gonna dive. Why did you get dove?
Dive came in. First blood to Fnatic, and Aranea are actually going to be forced away here by Reckless, and Cyanide He's not really backing off. He's going to take as much as he can from the Millenium jungle on this top side. Meanwhile, Jerry and Creighton still pushing quite heavily down on this bottom lane. But as we said, Soaz has been able to farm up pretty decently. Those bombs going to be a constant annoyance to him, but not doing too much damage at least.
If this continues, however, one more level, and Kerp is going to have his Mega Inferno Bomb, and he's just going to drop it on the lane on the sides. And that will definitely work in Millenium's favor in this situation. So a bit of a stalemate. Fnatic should push this as hard as they can and then just start basing, so Ziggs can't do that. And they're probably doing that right now.
You'll see Fnatic starting to pull out. Top lane will go back. Actually, Kevin stopping Yellowstar from being able to back away from that top lane at this moment. So Yellowstar going to have to do a bit of a walk around and get himself further away. Finally, Kevin gets a bit of free time in that top lane as well to start catching up on the farm.
Yeah, and both supports are basing with roughly 800 gold, which is probably going to mean that they're going to have 2 side stones, 1 each, and then Fnatic should probably have the edge here, because their vision control is going to be easier, they're going to make better catches, and I think the next fight is going to happen around Drake.
Just saw Yellowstar actually coming down there, very confident positioning, just walking straight through off towards the jungle. Cyanide coming in there as well. They've spotted that Kerp is low on mana from that one, and Fnatic going to group up as a trio here and try and do a bit of damage onto that outer middle turret. Shouldn't be able to get too much there though with the Ziggs around.
Usually this is what happens in a 2v1. You take down one tower and then you either rotate for Drake, or you group up on mid, or you put as much pressure as you can, but it's impossible for either team to do that into a Gragas or a Ziggs. So they basically locked into mirror lanes again. Maybe they can go for the pushes on bottom, but that's going to be a stalemate. So definitely the answer to this situation is a Drake play.
You see 3 Doran's items as well coming out for Soaz. Something that these Renekton's have been doing more and more recently. Going to give him some good pressure there onto Olaf. But how does that work out now? Similar levels in the top lane in a 1v1.
I think this is where Soaz needs to out push or out punish Olaf for having a worse early game than him, and there's no better way to punish your opponent than there is with Doran's item. So he's capitalizing on his small early lead here and trying to keep that Olaf down as hard as he can. Because if Olaf doesn't get really tanky and can't charge into the fights, that's going to be very detrimental to Millenium's team fight.
Oh, Mega Inferno Bomb came in there. Pecky had already taken that blue buff away. He'd take the damage from it, but not really too much of a problem. Both of them now got that chalice in there. We see the boots really the difference. And actually Fnatic picking up early boots pretty much as a response to what Millenium's comp is.
And there's not really much lost from using that ultimate on a blue buff. At the same time, Pekka is now an ultimate up, and he has room to make a play. He doesn't have necessarily an advantage from it, but he has the possibility to get one. If they go for a play or a roam, Pekka can use his ultimate, and he knows Zig doesn't have the counter trade to match him.
Red buff pick up there for Cyanide on the top side. I think Kevin had already started to back away. Of course, no outer turret there behind him to give him that safety. Does have a pink ward down in the middle of River though, so does have at least some vision of any possible push around the side. And there's another one just going over the top of the wall. So as holding this lane now in the middle and basically not trying to push it up there so he can keep this farm lead going. 44 to 29 CS that he has on that one.
Yeah, he's basically building up a very, very stacked wave, but he's either going to rotate away from that or just punish the Olaf trying to defend it. Cyanide's a little bit behind RNA right now because he's chose to spend the early game jungling, but I still think Cyanide made the superior decisions. He played the lane swap right, and Millenium just didn't answer correctly. Sure, Hecarim has a bit of a lead, but what has he actually done like so far in this game? Not too much.
No, not really. It was a little bit late to get into that top lane. There is the pink ward finally spotted out by Fnatic, and Cyanide doesn't want to hang around while RNA is there. Saw Kerp coming across as well, and that means that pink ward will survive for a while, and they take away the vision that Fnatic have just got in there. We're almost 10 minutes into this one. Only an 800 gold lead currently for Fnatic.
So this is where they have to make a move. They have the top lane that was really stacked pushing in top. Fnatic needs to capitalize on this. This is a moment where they have a lot of time and opportunity to get either aggressive wards in or maybe rotate for that Drake. But at the same time, their bot lane is getting pushed up. It looks like the Caitlyn Zillion is still handling Lucian Leona pretty well here.
And Creighton has a healthy lead from that as well. 92 to 76 CS, got himself that BF sword compared to the Vamp Scepter over for Reckless. So taking slightly different routes from that. And as you mentioned about the supports going back with 800 gold or so, Jerry did pick himself up the side still, but we saw the boots of mobility coming in on the other side for Yellowstar. And that might come into play here because Peke is coming down towards his bottom lane, and there is the barrel onto Jerry. Zenith Blade flashed away from. Have they got the damage now to actually lock down Jerry? Slow comes in. There is the call from the side. Jerry, he's got his ultimate available, and now Peke is taking all the damage. Here comes a horse from the back, and that is a kill. Creelton picking it up.
And this is a mistake by Fnatic because Leona wasn't 6 just yet on that engage. She only got 6 mid-engage. They tried to chase him down, overextended, and Millenium punished that with a good counter gank. However, Fnatic seems to be in good position for the Drake.
Already down to half HP. Creelton, Kerp is off towards the side there.
They're not quick enough.
Inferno Bomb. I'm not sure that they're quick enough here either. Aranea still off towards the side, does have a smite available. There is a satchel charge coming in, and the Dragon is picked up by Fnatic. Solid pickup for them, but Soaz venturing a little bit too far out from that one. Has to use the Dominus to stay alive.
Yeah, I'm not too pleased what Fnatic did right there, going in for the kill right there. Too aggressive. Leona's not level 6, you couldn't cash, you had to expend way too much, and that roam just didn't pay off for them.
And that ultimate just didn't land either for Yellowstar. Trying to lock down Aranea, who was having a bit of a wander through the jungle. Did see Kevin actually putting some pressure onto that outer turret in the top lane as well, but that will now be stopped as XPK goes up there. Meanwhile, Kerp continues to put pressure onto this middle tower, already down to less than half health.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes on both sides, really. Questionable plays. I mean, with good intent, Gragas roaming down is really good if your Leona is level 6. I'm not too big of a fan of those early Moby boots. I don't think it was needed. More vision control is probably better. And Yellowstar must have missed out on a lot of XP, because Jerry is 7 and Yellowstar only just hit 6 recently. So that XP gap is pretty big, and it's very, very fundamental that Leona needs to land the ulti, especially when Gragas roams and puts him in basically free ulti range with the cask.
You can just see Jerry headed down there. Got himself a ward in position up by the blue buff, just at the point where Yellowstar was coming around again. This top lane, interestingly enough, because of that time that Kevin had pretty much for free in the top lane, has in fact got himself in the lead now in CS. And so has finding it a little bit harder to deal with it. Double Doran's blade in there with a Doran shield. Other side, Soaz did pick himself up that Giant's belt, but well, the E there, the reckless swing, doing some good damage to Soaz.
Yeah, Fnatic invested in a play and it didn't really work out for them. And at the same time, Soaz is getting outscaled by Olaf right here, by Kevin. We see both junglers wanting to persuade that matchup in one direction. Let's see who gets the better jump.
Here's the push on towards Kevin. Can they lock him down? There is his ultimate use. He's going to go on towards Soaz, and that's a hell of a lot of damage. Soaz goes low. Kevin is still alive here. The ignite is down. That runs out. Flash from Cyanide over the side. And now Aranea are going to try and chase him down. Does he have the damage? He maybe doesn't, but Kerp is going to dive in there. There go the mines. The slow comes down. This is going to be a kill for Millenium. Cyanide somehow still running. Kerp actually going low on mana. Aranea gets a final blow though.
And this is all what happened because Kevin was so far ahead in the trade already against Soaz. Both junglers showed up, but it didn't matter. Soaz just got blown up immediately. Peke
actually waiting off to the side here. I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do. Puts the body slam down. There is the ultimate coming out. Will knock Aranea back in towards him. Yellowstar coming in. Ulti lands perfectly. And Peke is able to pick up the kill. Can they get more? I think they can with that barrel landing. Yellowstar just needs to lock him up with that Zenith Blade. The stun comes down, and there's the barrel. Yellowstar got the final blow.
Really good play by Fnatic. Peke really confident. 1 against 2, still goes in, lands the crucial abilities, uses ulti to bounce people into his cask, and Leona comes in with a solar flare to finish it off.
You didn't see that outer tower in the middle lane going down though. Millenium rotating their AD carry and support up towards that one so that they got that one out of the way. Meanwhile, Cyanide is going to be picking up his red buff. We'll see what plays Fnatic can make from this one. Cyanide currently 2-1-0. On the other side, Aranea 2-1-1. And whilst we don't see much Hecarim, it's definitely a comfort champion for Aranea, and we mentioned it in the pregame that Aranea has to be doing well for Millenium to have success.
Aranea hasn't been doing much in the early game. He contributed to leads that were gotten by other players, but other than that, he's not really shown up too much. I really like what he did on Night Gang top though. Kevin was ahead of Soaz, and Aranea made sure that Kevin stayed ahead of Soaz. Buff trans to go up to Kerp. Millenium's in a good position to ride into the mid game here.
Really nice there from Kerp and Aranea, just keeping their cool. bringing that blue buff into the brush so that they could finish things off. Actually, a 3-man push coming down bottom. This could be dangerous for Millenium, but they've got that ultimate out of Jerry, which can save them in a situation like this.
I'm a little bit worried about Yellowstar here. He's going for a very squishy build. It's pretty much all in, all win. And it's really hard to do that against a team of consisting of 2 tanks, a very long-range AP assassin, and a revive coming out of Zillion. I feel whenever he goes in, he's going to get a stun lock, but still gets blown up.
There's Aranea taking his red buff as well. See Cyanide getting his early on. Another minion wave coming in down towards this bottom lane, but Reckless and Yellowstar with Creaton and Jerry now back into that lane, deciding that they can't necessarily finish that one off. Creaton doing well here though on the CS. 149 to 132, still a healthy lead for him.
I can see this game drag out a lot in the later stages because no teams have a definitive answer to what they're going to do to get the outer turrets. And both of them are really scared to do a Baron because both Ziggs and Gragas are really good at interrupting those Barons. So this will be almost Season 2-esque stall-out fest because sure, the inner turrets might fall really quick and there might be a pick here and there, but I have a hard time seeing how any team can get an advantage big enough to siege and take down outer turrets.
Well, we brought you and Frog in here especially for those games because if any 2 players know how to stall out games,
how
probably
incredibly
would be you guys.
exciting these long games can be, right, Joe? Sometimes they're not.
Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are, though. We have seen a couple of comebacks, which you're more than well aware of. Meanwhile, pink ward's coming down here from Jerry on their bottom side of the jungle. We've got the Dragon coming up in 30 seconds' time. Who's going to be in a better position for that one? Already pinks down from Fnatic, wards over the top from Millenium, and both teams in a decent position for that one. Actually, Kevin's just recalled, so he's probably going to make his way over as well.
Yeah, Cyanide a bit all over the place. He ran top, then ran back to mid, then ran back to Wraiths. He probably just realized that Drake was going to spawn, tried to run to it, didn't need to be there in time. Everybody seems to collapse. Everybody knows this Drake's going to happen. Fnatic was posturing in the area already for a good 30 seconds. That pretty much tells Millenium, hey guys, even if you don't have the Drake timer, it's about to come up. Fnatic does have the area.
Oh, Cyanide actually going to take a lot of damage from this one. Aranea diving into him, the bomb goes off. Cyanide might fall from this one.
Dead.
It's a repel, but the damage comes through anyway. Aranea gets that one. Kevin going to force Soaz to back off. That leaves them in a 5v4. No jungler, therefore no smite. This should be Dragon.
Fnatic spent all this time getting the area under control with vision, with pink wards, and then they simply spread out too far and they get picked off. No reaction. Just slowly whittle down Cyanide, and he just doesn't care. Like, he doesn't repel early enough onto anybody else. There's no backup from Fnatic. Fnatic almost seemed like they had the area under control. All Millenium had to do is walk in and kill somebody, and it's too easy.
Looked far too easy, and that puts Millenium now 1,400 gold into the lead in this matchup. Have a look down some of the items now as we get further in. Both AD carries got the Bloodthirster, but again, Creaton done so well to farm early on, got that early kill as well. He's got an extra zeal.
I'm really worried for Fnatic right now. The Olaf Hecarim combo is definitely going to outscale a lot of the members on their team, and Ziggs' constant DPS coming out of the backline is going to be really hard to deal with. I almost don't see what Leona can do. I always put myself in a position of the support. Like, what do you do against a team like this? Who do you open on? There is no opener on Olaf. There's no opener on Hecarim. There's no opener on Ziggs.
And a bit of a mixed fight here, Kevin having to go at Soaz. Aranea came in from the backside and did a bit of damage to Cyanide. And in this situation, those little bits of damage can mean the difference between getting that turret or maybe even getting kills if they stick around long enough. There is the bomb coming around. Does land onto Soaz. The slow comes in as well. Good cocoon lands onto Aranea, but that's not going to matter. That's the 3rd turret for Millenium.
And look how healthy they are. It's like this continuous DPS coming out of Millenium's top laner jungle combo, as well as sustained DPS. They don't really drop too low. They regen a lot, and like Renekton at least does not have the means to deal with this, and so they're now getting forced out of these areas. 2v2, which opens the rest of the map open for 3v3, and this is where we can maybe see these outer turrets getting sieged down in the later stages of the game. However, they have to be careful that they don't get rotated on, but still they can still easily die in uneven numbers.
That's Creaton and Reckless just having a bit of an exchange. Creaton underneath his tower, getting ready for it. His curve here is going to be face-checked into by Yellowstar. He has to flash away. Ace in the hole comes through. Another bomb lands. Have they got enough damage? There is a solar flare to stop him coming out. Nice one from Yellowstar, but has to use that.
I mean, and this is what I mean. He got hit by about 3 or 4 abilities, and he's already on 15%. Imagine if he's in a team fight, and he has to go all in, gets through 4 enemies to hit one of these squishy targets, and then still have the chance that the target is going to get revived. What is he going to do in these fights?
Well, that's a question that Yellowstar's going to have to answer later on, because Millenium have a healthy lead, and we see a bit of a play around the red buff here. Aranea knows it's up. He knows that Cyanide is starting this one off. Cyanide will spot him here in a second with that pink ward as he comes around. We've got Kerp there. Soaz is dropping down. Jayree's around as well. Soaz actually going to dive over the top. They knock Cyanide back into them. He gets bombed onto. Gragas coming in. That's going to be a good ultimate, but they got away. Wrong side of the barrel. Millenium back off. Fnatic secure their red though.
Just not clean enough. Soaz goes in a little early. Gragas is later than Soaz went in. Cocoon gets hit like on a creep. It's just not clean enough by Fnatic to get a pick. They did force Millenium out and they did get the defend on the pink ward and they got the red buff, but I feel it wasn't enough for what they used on it.
There was a blue buff as well for Kerp. Secured once again. It's Creedson and Reckless gonna go head to head, and I tell you what, Reckless having to back off from this one. The Peacemaker does let Ace in the hole goes through. Barrier wasn't used by Reckless.
I believe it was just on 2 seconds cooldown.
Really?
I believe that must have been it. There's no reason he wouldn't barrier that. There's no way in hell he thought he was gonna survive that without using barrier. Such a cheap cooldown.
Pretty sure we've seen Reckless already this season in European LCS. Believe that he survived. Could survive. Yeah, it was a Karthus ultimate from Froggen. Of course it was. And he thought he was going to survive it, and actually he didn't. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Kevin getting chased down here by Cyanide, but he's an Olaf. That is bad news for Cyanide, possibly. Good job, he's got an execute.
Oh well, Cyanide finished him off. Zigbomb's coming in the top lane, though. Is he going to hit him? Nope, barely missed him. We saw that in the corner of your screen.
No, Creedson now, bit of trouble. Nope, flashes away. He gets knocked to safety, but will he stay safe? He's got no mana pretty much. There is a solar flare. Going to be dodged away from. Zenith Blade does land. Creedson's not escaping that one. Fnatic pull a kill.
That was a really good solar flare. Since Flash was down, Yellowstar doesn't need to do the fancy solar flare that stuns 100%. No, should be behind him. If he jukes it, he jukes him into Zenith Blade range and he dies anyways. If he doesn't juke it, he walks right into the stun. Good play by Yellowstar.
They've got a kill down the bottom, but they're losing their inner turret right now in this mid lane. The bombs bouncing off to the back. We're going to see Soaz coming in. Aranea is going to have to use his ultimate there to get back to safety. Meanwhile, Yellowstar right on top of them here. Going to be taking a little bit of that damage. Jayree does get Zenith bladed onto, but in the end, Fnatic can't chase in for any more damage.
And Millenium is reacting pretty well. Whenever Fnatic puts a lot of members in one area of the map, they push in the other side of the map. Especially Ziggs is really good at sieging because of his passive. If you use that repeatedly on towers, you're gonna whittle them down, and that's what they need to do. Whenever Fnatic commits a lot of people into one area, punish them in another. Don't match them because you'll outscale them anyways.
Body slam from Peke, just getting him away from the axe of Kevin there behind that red buff, which Aranea already kicks off. Creedson is going to be the gift at that one. He now has that Phantom Dancer added into his Bloodthirst, and you've seen pretty much at all stages of this game just being one step ahead of the build of Reckless.
Yeah, we're gonna need Peke to finish his Rabadon's death cap, and that's the power spike we need. And then immediately Fnatic's gonna need to look for a good 4-3-man ulti coming out of Peke, because otherwise I don't think they're gonna get back. But he's waiting for Creedson.
Oh, there is the barrel coming in. Cyanide's actually off to the side as well, and Creedson completely pulled out of this one, uses his barrier, but he was never gonna survive that one with both Gragas and Elise on top of him. This should be a turret for Fnatic.
Yeah, this is poorly played by Creedson. He has to respect the brush a lot more right there, because there's no potential for Millenium to punish anybody camping in that brush. Sure, if Ziggs is pushed up, you can take the risk of face checking that, because if 2 people come down, you will lose your mid tower for it, or you will win a tower from Fnatic. At the same time, there was no pressure on the other side of the map. Even coming as close as warding that with Gragas missing is a mistake, and this is the Peke of old, hiding in side lane brushes, waiting to assassinate somebody.
We have Dragon coming up in just a couple of seconds. Pink Ward will clear out Millenium's vision, but Aranea is there. Will he be able to get in and do anything about it? In fact, Fnatic feel a little bit intimidated about that one. They've backed off for now, at least.
Talisman finished on Jayree. Combine that with his speed up, we can get anybody from Millenium anywhere on the map in like a couple of seconds. It's incredible how quick they can move around the map. That's why Fnatic is so hesitant. If they don't have full vision of what Millenium is doing, they're going to be very hesitant, and rightfully so.
Sweeping lens is being used, but Peke taking that sustained damage, that annoyance that Kerp can constantly throw your way. Not that Rabadon's death cap added in on towards his Athene's Unholy Grail, as we are going to see them make a bit of a move towards Aranea. There is the Cocoon landing on Kerp. The Culling not really doing the damage that they would have needed out of it, and Millenium still have positional advantage over that Dragon.
Xpeke was already on half HP. Committing would mean he had to move through those minefield and then still maybe hope that he would finish somebody off. If he didn't, he would have been killed immediately, turn around. I think the correct call by Fnatic was backing out there. They just rolling down the hill right now. They were in a bad place, they stumbled, and they're in a worse place even now.
That Dragon is going down, and Fnatic can't do a thing about it. The bomb did come out, which took Yellow Star and Cyanide a little bit low. They're going to go for Kevin, who has his ultimate available here. He's going to use that one. Can he get away to safety, though? No, not quite. Peke throws down his ultimate, and that will be the finisher. Can they get the turret as well? Millenium trying to get him from the side, but not quick enough. Good reply from Fnatic.
Very sloppy play by Millenium. Fnatic is trying to catch people. Millennium's getting caught. Imagine if that happened in a 5v5 fight and they had to commit all that to just kill Olaf. They would have gotten completely crushed. Fnatic's running the picks really well though. They're catching an Olaf. Honestly, with ulti and Ghost, you should never be in a position where they can blow you up 5v1. Just outpositioned by Fnatic. Even then, they can't capitalize on that lead. Sure, they get this pick, but they're not healthy enough to keep on pushing that tower. And even if they're healthy, they have to battle the Ziggs wave clear, and this is why I like seeing Kerp on a champion like Ziggs.
You see that the gold has swung back over in favor of Fnatic. 38.8 to 37.4 thousand gold, tied on the turrets, which is the thing that was keeping Millenium really ahead in that gold before when we saw them having the lead. Fnatic since bringing that back even, and they do have that lead for now at least.
At the same time though, how efficient is that gold? I really feel like Millenium is going to outscale Fnatic, and it's already showing. Unless Peke puts on his carry pants and Cyanide somehow gets a lot more AP to get those executes going, that potential magic damage. Peke got to catch him it though.
That was all a little bit messy. Almost got Kerp, to be fair to him, but Kerp did use that satchel charge just to dive away, had his flash available should it be needed as well. But again, we see Fnatic working out a positional advantage. Aranea coming in from the side. Yellow Star will take a bomb to the head, but they're right in front of this inner turret. They could do some damage to it, and maybe not now that Creaton's actually come across. They'll hold on to that for now.
If there's ever a chance to push a middle turret, and you don't want Ziggs to be defending, well then you want to chunk Ziggs out of lane. But still, even then he has his ulti, and on top of that they have the Caitlyn wave clear with the Q coming out. So it's very hard for them to siege a turret. Like, I see them going in and back again, but I just don't see it working. I hope they start working on vision control around Baron area, maybe for baits, or just look for some smarter picks, but I don't really see an answer for Fnatic. All I see is some mistakes by Millenium, barely being punished by Fnatic.
And you see again, the run up that mid lane. Feeling like they got the positional advantage. The wards were cleared out from Fnatic over the side, but they need to stop the push coming in. They're going to go in towards Jerry, down to half HP. Kevin has had to pop his ultimate as well. Can they catch anyone else out on the top side? Kerp has been caught out. He's got the ultimate from Jerry, who has to back off himself because he's very, very low. Kevin does go down. Kerp going to get locked up, throws the bomb in there. Yellow Star is going to be ignited. He won't fall. Kerp going to be chased down. Reckless gets that one, and he ends with a 2 for 2.
What a satchel by Kerp, cancelling the Elise, execute at the same time, moving away and chunking Leona, who ended up dying later. Although this was very well played by Fnatic, they went for a pincer move coming in from 4 different sides, negating all the movement Millenium had to get out of fight. They could run anywhere they wanted really quickly, but they would end up running into any possible Fnatic member. On the left you had Soaz, behind you had Cyanide, who could go in and stall people because he has repel. For 2 seconds you can't hit him, you stand like still wondering where is he gonna land. Same time Peke was flanking from the side, so this was a really good pincer move by Fnatic. I hope they repeat it, but at the same time Millenium must have learned, and they're gonna start warding their flanks.
Get those wards down and stay safe. Both teams now have a talisman as well for chasing or, well, running away, as the case has been a little bit more often than not. There's another red buff just spawning here for RNA. We'll see if that gets given over to Creaton. Doesn't actually look like it, because Creaton's got a wave to farm down the bottom. And now Reckless, we saw him in that fight. He does actually get it in the end. Reckless was behind in CS pretty much the entire game, but he's done that whole silent AD carry thing of not really being on screen, and all of a sudden you look down, he's farmed right back into the lead.
Yeah, he's been the man that's answering the side lane pushes a lot for Fnatic, while Pekka's around the mid. Wave clear and the catch potential from his explosive cask is what they really needed. Fnatic staying in this game. Both AP carries are on the verge of finishing Void Staff. I think that's where it's going to spike again. Once you hit Void Staff, these tanky super tanks are just getting a lot more prone to getting blown up, and it's at that point that positioning gets even more important. And if Fnatic gets a similar pincer off with a Void Staff ulti from Gragas on a couple of people, that could turn the tides.
And that tide may turn in about 1.5 minutes when the Dragon comes back into play. Been some interesting Dragon dance, I think we can say, until now, with both teams being very, very cautious about how they play that one, and see that they're starting to meet up once again in middle. Soaz will be headed down from that top lane. He actually has a 1 level advantage over Kevin right now, and That's with that Zillion passive even being equated into it. But Fnatic, again, they hold this positional advantage, pushing that mid wave up.
Getting vision control is paramount for Millenium right now. If they don't have vision, they can get flanked or caught off guard, and that's where Fnatic thrives. They're doing a pretty good job if you see like at the map. Sure, Baron area is warded, but this Drake is completely clean. Fnatic has control of that. They're tunneling on this objective, and rightfully so. Hopefully later they move into the Baron area and they can make some picks right there.
As Creighton just coming under a bit of pressure, the barrel's rolling through, but he's going to be recalling with 30 seconds to go. Sweeping lens just being used there, and as you said, look at the wards on the bottom side of the map. 3 just covering the entire entrance towards that dragon area for Fnatic, so they're going to have the early warning if Millenium do decide to come to that one. RNA up on the top side. They do have a lot of speed about them though, so even with just 10 seconds left to go, they can start to move around, but they need to make it quick because that dragon's going to go down fast.
This is something Peke used to do a lot when he was playing Zed back in the day. Just push out bottom, have one ward so he can't get collapsed upon, and if he does, he just body slams out. Fnatic in the meanwhile has complete control over the dragon area. Bottom is pushed up so far that Cretan has to defend the turret, and free dragon.
Yep, the bonk does come in there, but it's already gone down. Cyanide not messing around there. Smite coming down in the perfect time. They pick that one up. So as here though, might have a little bit of trouble. It's going to be chased down, slowed by Kevin. But have they got the damage to get through Renekton? He has to pop his ultimate, and the damage is certainly there. Kurt will pick that one up, and they can have the tower as well.
Soaz is not respecting the amount of speed that the Millenium lineup possesses, and once they land an axe, they can land an axe after axe after axe. They're going to rotate into the Baron area. If their sweepers are up or they have enough pink wards, they can cut out the vision for Fnatic completely and force the face check. I don't think that'll happen, and I think Leona will probably sneak in enough wards to somehow figure out what's going on. Fnatic's counterplay here is pushing mid and forcing Millenium to react. Although they're outnumbered, they can only move out after pushing mid though, so there's going to be a game of chicken almost, like who wants to go deepest. But they have to do that, otherwise they're going to lose Baron control.
Well, we are going to see actually the push coming in. That is a great cocoon from Cyanide, but Aranea at the front. Can they catch on to anyone? Reckless has actually gone on his own. He flashes away from the axe, but Kevin still running through. He gets locked up, has to pop his ultimate, but they've got the damage to kill him off. Does have J-Ree's ulti in there. Can they kill him off the second time? Reckless is starting to move forward. There is a bomb coming back. Yellowstar takes the damage. They knock Peke back. Aranea going to ulti away from the wall, and Yellowstar goes down. Brilliantly played by Millenium.
Couple brilliant plays on both sides, and then just major screw-ups. Fnatic had the tools to win that fight, and they already won that trade, but they just wanted to kill too badly, overextended, and ended up losing their support. I really like what they did. When Olaf charges in so hard, just split up the team with an explosive cask and then turn on him. You can still kill him. Problem is the revive comes in, and then you just chunk him and just leave him. If you win the trade, so be it, but don't tunnel vision on it. But I really like the way Reckless flashes. He flashes away from the undertow, make sure he doesn't get hit. Leona turns, backline is zoned by Gragas. All well up till this point. Even chunking the Olaf when he spawns is good. Good turn on Aranea later as well. Perfect play, but right after that, this body slam is completely unnecessary in my opinion.
Well, they've probably done better with the barrel straight off from that, but that's all hindsight.
Yeah.
Void Staff is now there as well for Peke, so we'll see how that is going to be affecting things. Kerp also has his done. And 32 minutes on the clock. The gold is approaching even here for Millenium. 600 gold they are behind currently. And see that Soaz is going to keep that farm lead going as he goes up onto the top side. Sunfire Cape, Tiamat, Giant's Belt. So building in a couple of different directions here.
Yeah, I have to congratulate Yellowstar on his Leona play though. This is a very hard game to play Leona in, and he's playing it pretty well. He's turning when he can. Sure, that last EQ on Aranea there wasn't the perfect one, but he had good intentions and almost ended up working. And support for jungler is definitely a decent trade right there. If the kill goes away, your AP carry. So I really like what he's doing with his Leona in this game.
Millenium moving around the Baron area. The Sunfire Cape of Aranea actually just aggroing Baron for a second. Fnatic started to move in, but Millenium have started off that Baron buff. Will they be able to finish it though? And will Fnatic be able to force them back? Yep, just the sheer presence of the team will force Millenium.
See, they don't have enough presence to zone 5 people out with 3 people, and if they did, then they should just zone 5 people out with 5 people and get the Nasha control. There's no Oracle's Lens on either side. This is just going to be evolving into a very, very sloppy Baron dance. I feel they need more vision control if they want to attend baiting this Baron, so they need an Oracle's Lens or pink wards on at least 2 or 3 people. If not, this is just going to be a long standoff.
Oh, Peke actually taking a lot of damage there, and they're going to go quite aggressive. The undertow doesn't land, that won't slow Peke down. But don't forget, that inner turret in the mid lane is already gone from Millenium. They managed to pick that one up a little bit earlier on as the bombs just bounce on through. Reckless taking some damage from that one. Soaz actually off to the side from this, so he can get involved if need be. They're going to go in towards Jerry. Everything being thrown down. Jerry has his ultimate on himself. Can he get away from this one, though? There is a body slam coming around. The barrel rolls in, and it's Soaz over the other side that did manage to get the one kill on towards Kerp. He died in the end, though, to Creatine.
I like that Fnatic had no hesitation there. CC one guy, just pop him immediately. On top of that, if you manage to get Zilean to ulti himself, it will be the least efficient ulti out of the bunch. He has the least HP and the least resistances, so getting a Zilean to ulti himself is actually rather good for you. I really like what Soaz did as well. He just dove in and made sure he finished off Kerp before dying. Equal trade. No teams can really capitalize on this. They might be able to bait a Baron, but I feel Millenium should have the tools to stop this.
Starting off the Baron, Reckless and Cyanide both in that. We're going to see Yellow Star coming around. Peke is going to play the role of the zoner in this one inside of that Death Rush. As Millenium do come in there, Fnatic decide, you know what, we can't fight, we can't keep on with Baron, we have to back away.
Yeah, I can almost respect this play since the fact that the bottom lane is pushing so hard. So if they keep Millenium busy around Baron, they might get some turret HP on the other turret on bottom. Is that worth it? I'm not sure. Maybe just base, reset, get more vision control. Jerry picked up Mikhail's Crucible as well. Very important to know. Another just heal and another thing that makes it harder for Fnatic to kill that one guy they want to blow up. And as long as Jerry isn't the guy that gets caught, it's going to be really tricky for Fnatic to win these fights. But they keep doing it though. Every time they keep getting away. I almost feel it's a little mistake coming out of Millenium, but at the same time Fnatic is capitalizing on the small leads they can.
Fnatic do have the lead. It's 1,500 at this stage, so not a massive amount, that's for sure, but still a lead nonetheless. Fnatic here do have the position around Baron. Again, wards thrown in left and right, but Millenium have the option of just pushing straight up that mid lane again and forcing Fnatic to back away from that Baron pit, as Cyanide actually is going to start off, but there is vision there for Millenium.
So this is what I don't like, these two-man Barons with three-man pushing at the side. Even if they didn't have vision, they could just walk in, because how are you three people going to zone off five people and just avoid getting caught? It's just not good play.
Oh, they're going to go in there. They do get the fear on towards Soaz. He's popped his ultimate, but he's not escaping. Kurt picks up that one and again split off, and again Soaz gets caught out from the speed.
And this is what I mean. You can't have three people zone off five people in order to do a two-man Baron if you're not 100% clear on your vision. It's just too much of a gamble, and you saw Soaz gets caught again. Millenium can close 2 screens of distance in under half a second, and it's just insane.
Wow, that was a big ultimate coming out of Xpeke. Doesn't get the kill onto anyone, but may just be enough to actually force Millenium away from this inhibitor turret. We do see the speed up coming in there. Dragon is available, so this will be a nice pickup on the exit from Millenium. They're going to steal away the blue buff while they go as well.
And in a game like this, you want split push to open up the map and draw people away from these 5v5 wave clear situations. And that's what's really good against the Season 2 metagame, that one split push, but neither teams have a solid split pusher. Millenium got chunked though, and Fnatic's attempting a Baron, but there was still a ward. They finally find that ward that they should have known that was there earlier, because that gave it away. And they stop Baron, and again, stalemate. Now the other team's gonna base, and then another team's gonna base, and eventually somebody's gonna make a mistake big enough that gets punished for Baron, but it's not clean. It's not proper. I'm not a big fan of the way this game is being played.
Currently, Millenium got in the lead for just a little while there after taking the Dragon, and, well, falling slightly behind just after that. And it's going to happen for a little while longer, I think, here. We see sweeping lenses, clear out the walls, put new ones down, same over and over.
However, we see a good step in the right direction from Millenium. Oracle's lens, finished on Jiri, has about a minute cooldown, can clear almost an entire Baron area if used well, combined with your team. Combine that with 2 more pink wards and you can get definitive Nashor control. If you top that off with wards in the enemy jungle to prevent Dragas from getting close and stealing, then Millenium can actually get a shot.
Oh, we just saw Aranea catching the cocoon that came through. They exchanged pink wards and put their own wards down. Meanwhile, Millenium here sat inside of that Baron pit. We see that Creatine got himself that Banshee's Veil now, and that's going to stop Gragas' burst coming straight through. We can see on the bottom lane that the minions have pushed up quite far and on towards that inner turret. But again, Aranea is going to go in for one. They decide to go for Yellow Star, but can they kill him off? Aranea pretty much alone from this one, but he's got the damage to force Yellow Star away.
So Millenium tries to take Baron area. Fnatic knows bot lane is big. Reaction from Fnatic is push mid to draw them back into the lane. Reaction from Millenium is look for a catch. What ends up happening? Absolutely nothing.
RNA going very, very deep on that one. Loses almost half of his HP as he does so. Trying to force that mid wave up as far as they possibly can. Soaz stepping on a trap which won't be followed through on. And Millenium decide, you know what, we need to back away from this one again. Do we need to fight here? Probably not, unless we catch someone out.
And both teams pretty much victims of their team composition and the fact that none of them managed to get an early lead. Because they could snowball leads very well. Like, don't underestimate the composition of Millenium if they get a lead, because they will just dive you on the tower. They will just run in and kill you. They can't do that right now though.
Which might be made a little bit harder with that Guardian Angel coming out from Peke. We'll see if anyone else does decide to go down that route. RNA is patrolling forward once again, going to be clearing out more of those wards that came in early. Actually does take the cocoon and following bit of damage, but they know they can't stick around too long because Kurt can just hammer away from the backside.
So Millenium reacts pretty well with a mid push to draw Fnatic back, and the other time Fnatic pushed mid to draw Millenium back. The thing is, what can you do once you reach these towers? They need to 5-man group, force Fnatic into their base, and then fall back, ward up the red jungle, and then fall back into Nash area, completely deward it, and that in turn forces Fnatic to face check. If Millenium can execute that before Fnatic has a chance to push mid, they can do a successful Baron bait. However, it's very tricky when the gold lead is this close.
That was a nice barrel coming through to steal that big raid. Peke waiting over the side, using that lens once again, and like to see how many wards have been exchanged this time around. As RNA going to go on towards Cyanide again. The cocoon catches him, but there is the speed up. They're going to go for Soaz. He gets feared back into the team. There is a culling from the side. Good solar flare indeed, as RNA going to take a lot of damage. He's got the ultimate from J-Ree. Peke's Guardian Angel is going to get popped so he can escape. Yellow Star going deep. Soaz gets popped. This could be it. The shutdown coming in towards X-Peke. Yellow Star won't get away. That's a double kill for Creatine. A 3 for nothing for Millenium.
And this is where X-Peke was baited by his own Guardian Angel. He wants to go in, go for a 1-for-1 and end up reviving, but at the same time, Millenium has a Zillion who will just revive their own carry. Peke dies in a predictable spot. Kurt with the good timing throws out his bomb, lands the second he revives, and he can't even get out anymore. And this is Fnatic losing that trade. They got caught when Lucian wasn't in range to punish. They turned it around with a good solar flare. All Peke had to do was throw out a barrel and save his body slam. Because as you saw, he has his flash up right now. He didn't even get out of that fight. Really good, really well played by Kerp, timing the landing of that bomb at the same time when Peke revived.
So, a pretty low Millenium going in for this one. Cyanide actually is going to take a lot of damage. Here comes Creatine around the side. Cyanide now has to back away. That was possibly their chance to steal this one, but Kerp, even low HP, can force them to back away, can keep a hold of that enemy jungle. Fnatic aren't going to challenge. Millenium pick up Baron.
And this might just be what this game needs, a Baron, to just get one team far enough ahead that they can start diving the other team. At the same time though, Fnatic can play these fights a lot better. If they played the other fight a lot better, it would have been a lot closer.
We can see that on the player cam down to the left, Kevin having a mid-game drink. That's how tactical this one is. Yeah, stay hydrated, stops you getting headaches, makes you play better overall, and it's definitely healthy for you, so do that. On the other side, we did see Zhonya's Hourglass being picked up by Kerp, actually, I think before that last fight. Because he just came off cooldown. The AD carries, we see an Infinity Edge now added in as well for Creatine. He's been one of the big shining lights in this Millenium team, 6-2-3 now.
Yeah, I like this, the Hourglass pickup from Kerp. It almost serves the same purpose as the Guardian Angel does. That's for X-Peke. But X-Peke needs to get into the fray, get into the middle of the team fight to blow somebody up, and then hopefully revive or survive to get back out. Kerp can stand in the back, so what Zhonya has, 2 seconds of vulnerability is generally enough for his team to collapse on the guy or the guys that are chasing him down. So I like the pickup. And we see the typical Fnatic rush of old.
And this is most definitely a bait, which Millenium didn't even remotely fall for. They throw everything in there. Yellow Star down to half HP. Kurt going to continue to spam towards the back. Are they just going to dive in for this one? Will Fnatic back off? Yes, they have to. Millenium pick off another inner turret. They may even keep chasing from this one. RNA going to go pretty deep on that one, but the team not quick enough to keep up.
I don't agree with using Ziggs ulti there. The tower was free for Millenium enemies. There's no way Fnatic would have held that. They should have used it and just did a 4-man Ziggs ulti to force them off to this tower, because this one's very hard to get from Millenium.
Now going to stick around. Soaz is having to make sure that mid lane doesn't push up too far with the inhibitor already down and those super minions actually coming through. In fact, Reckless even having to go in there and help him with that one as well. Let's see if they can get in on towards that turret. That's a decent bouncing bomb in the back line there that landed on towards Reckless, but again, Fnatic clearing it out. Millennium back off.
Millennium have a decent chance at sieging at this point in the game, though. They can trap off one side, put the minefield from Ziggs on the other side, and have Caitlyn do max range auto attacks on the tower, and still get saved in the event that she gets body slammed or explosive cast in by JV with an ultimate. However, it's not the most secure push they can do, but it's their best bet at this point.
There's an ace in the hole actually coming through. They're going to try and pull them together, but Fnatic just using a body slam to get out of range of that one. He throws his ultimate, but he literally did nothing there really to Millenium. Cyanide catching even more damage. This could very well be that turret as more bouncing bombs land. The culling comes out. Millenium don't even care. Not doing enough damage to either Kevin or Aranea. They're going to be looking for this one. Yellowstone knocked away by the satchel charge. Still very cautious here from Millenium though.
Yeah, they did exactly what they needed to do. Combine Ace in the hole with the Super Mega Inferno Bomb and basically zone them off the turret and then go in and take it. Right now though, Fnatic's looking for a fight. They want to fight this.
It is so very, very low. Creighton actually does step forward. He's going to be able to pick that one off. Did get hit by a barrel on his way through though. But Millennium get their second inhibitor of the game and decide to back away.
And this is pretty much game for Millennium if they execute it properly. They can start sieging up top. Fnatic has to defend both inhibs at the same time. Baron will spawn not soon, but eventually it will. And if Millennium keeps the pressure up, they can just rotate back into that Baron. Worst case, I don't think it's going to end up going that far because they can repeat the same process they did here. They learn probably how efficient it is for them to just use Ziggs ulti on the tower, zone them off, get a couple of shots in, put up a wall of traps, combine that with the minefield and just the access for poke. And in the event that the fight actually breaks loose, Aranea is just going to storm in, Kevin's going to go for the backline, and JB will just revive whoever gets caught.
These Banshees Veils that Fnatic had slowly but surely getting popped. Oh well, Millennium's actually good stuff from Peke to make that one happen. There is the ultimate, will knock Creighton away, but didn't really do what they were hoping for. Pull one in so that they could finish off, but Millennium just pushing on through from this one. Aranea and Kevin going to be holding up the front line. Kirk just spamming from the back made all that much easier as he does throw his ultimate down. They are going on towards Aranea. That inhibitor is going to fall. Meanwhile, Cyanide does get a lot of damage onto him as well. That's mission accomplished for Millennium. Going low, not dying, getting the inhibitor back off.
The second that explosive cast is used and it does not guarantee into a kill or a major chunk, Fnatic loses all its defensive capabilities because Millennium will just back out, reassess, and slowly move their way back in, and then there's no surprise catch anymore. Every other champion is very predictable, except for maybe Soul or Flare, but in that case, there is still Mikhail's Crucible, there's still a Talisman, and there's still a Revive coming out of Jerry.
So, lead is definitely concrete here for Millennium, but I hate to be the one to say it, they've had troubles in the past closing out games. They've been the first to admit that as well, that even in the games that they've had the lead, they've struggled to finish things off. Are they far enough ahead that one mistake here, you know, could be let off almost, or is one mistake a game over in the other direction?
Yeah, a mistake coming out of Millennium doesn't mean game over, but it could mean game over in 10 minutes because it might just give Fnatic what they need, especially with Baron coming up. I just see it's very unlikely for Millennium to make a mistake here. I mean, they've been pushing down two inhibs in a row, actually three if you count the mid inhib going down twice. They know the pattern Fnatic has to play to get out, and Fnatic needs to look for another pincer somehow that's going to work, but they're just not strong enough to execute that right now, and Millennium is probably going to take it. However, one of these teams is going to face the Bullets, I believe, and yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah, this is going to be, either way, whoever wins by the end, a hard game coming into that next round. We are going to see Millennium pushing forward from this one. Peke is going to have to come over and help.
So us is flanking right now. This is that's what they're looking for. They know that just the defend is not going to work, and they're looking for sort of flank or a pincer and just shutting down the JV and this AD carry at the same time. But they can't really execute that properly because Reckless still has to defend those both minion waves pushing in.
See Cocoon landing on towards Aranea there. There is the ulti coming out. He does literally nothing to him. They have managed to catch it on towards Creighton though. There is the culling coming in from the back. Aranea is going to go low. Soaz has to flash away, and Millennium turning around. Good damage coming in. Cyanide finished off there by Kerp, who's now on the killing spree. Fnatic started off. It went well at the start, but Millennium just too strong here.
Expect it again using the cost too early in my opinion, but you saw their plan unfold right there. They went for Create and they said, either we kill him and we have a shot at this game, or he survives and it's over anyways, and that's what happened. They had the solar flare landing point blank onto Cretan. Everybody dove in, but he gets Mikhails, flashes out, and life steals back up to full HP, and then at that point, it's over because Millenium is just going to base, pick up Baron, finish the pushes, and they're just going to clean out this game.
They have Super Minions almost taking down both Nexus turrets at that point as well. There is the Baron spawning in, Millenium in position early enough to finish this one off straight away without Fnatic really doing anything. Yellowstar did start to wander out into the jungle, but there's nothing that he can really do with that one. There's a lot of gold for Millenium to go back home with and spend here. You can see 3,500 there for Kerp, who he's played his role perfectly, really, sitting back and just spamming on through the entire time while Kevin and RNA just tank up everything that Fnatic throw at them.
Well, if we're talking about playing your role perfectly, 0-0-12 Jerry on a Zillion support, that had the option of being counterpicked as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's just being so solid. Finishes his core build with Talisman for CDR. Mikhails on top of that, just to keep saving people. You have a remote cleanse, and then your remote revive. And what is Fnatic gonna do against that except blow multiple people up into the mid game? They tried, they didn't do that, and they just don't scale well enough to battle Millenium in the later stages of this game.
Look down the AD carry as well. Reckless has got absolute tons of farm in there as well. 2-1-2, 6-item AD carry with his boots sold for a Zephyr, but he can't do anything.
It just can't capitalize, and there's no edge in that build either, so it doesn't scale as high as any other AD carry builds. If you want to be 6 items, you probably should have an Infinity Edge in there somewhere to get those crits going and maybe surprise somebody with your damage output, but it's still very predictable. Fnatic right now is a predictable lineup, and only the explosive cast can catch people off guard, or a pincer move, but they're pushing the race so hard that they can't collapse anymore.
Inhibitors have respawned into this one in that mid lane and in the bottom lane, and Aranea, you see, right up in their faces, pops all the Banshee's Veils, which makes it a lot easier then for Kerp to be spamming away and doing his damage from the backside. There's the ace in the hole, caught by Cyanide, half of his health gone. This inhibitor is going to be going down. Will Millenium push for a kill? They don't need to, they can play it safe and play that waiting game and just keep picking off the inhibs.
Reminds me of a team in Season 2 that just didn't go for kills and just slowly push down these inhibs over and over, and I just loved watching them, Joe.
Yeah, so did we, Crepo. We're not mentioning any names from that one. There we go, though. We are going to see the culling coming out. Actually, Soas diving into the middle of them as well. What a barrel this time from Peke. Gets the shutdown, but have they got the damage to finish everyone out? Cretan is focused at the back. Double kill for Peke. Now 3 men from Millenium are running back, but it's a 5v3. Fnatic can push here. Really
well played by Fnatic. This is what they needed. They go all in on Cretan. He doesn't have his flash, or he didn't flash. He gets chain CC'd. What happens is Millenium starts panicking. Everybody groups up on Cretan, trying to get the people off him. Pekka, this time, he held his barrel until after the focus went on Cretan. And that's all thanks to Yellowstar landing that solar flare. He didn't need to pop his barrel to put Cretan into a bad position. Cretan was already in a bad position. And then the 4 or even 5-man explosive cast coming out from a full AP Gragas turned that fight around. And just really well played by Fnatic. It's a shame that didn't happen sooner.
We're going to go straight in onto this inhib turret. We need to be careful how much damage they're taking from this one. There's another barrel. It knocks Aranea the wrong direction, though. They're going to take the inhib, and they might go towards his top side. That's pushed up very, very nicely for them. They'll clear out the minions. The minions actually already tanking up the turret. So this could well be 2 inhibitors for Fnatic on the bounce back. They've got to hold their nerve here and take both of these if they're to stay in this game. And they do manage to take them, but can they escape now? Kevin and RNA are going to be charging on forward. Soas dashes away. Kevin gets sped up once again. The barrel is going to be missing. Fnatic are still trying to run away from it. Yellowstar now coming around the side, misses a Zephyr. Soas goes back in there. They throw down the solar flare. Doesn't matter for Fnatic, that ultimate didn't do much. It kept them safe on the backside to retreat.
Yeah, Fnatic just needs to get away here. They can't be caught out by the reviving Millenium members, and this breaks Millenium's morale. If you've been in this driver's seat the entire game and all you need to do is one more inhib, just one more time, and then we can finish and end this game, and we finally got this victory. And then that happens. And this is a huge boost for Fnatic. They got a lot of gold, they got 2 inhibitors, they can play the map pressure a lot differently. Cretan especially right now, he's more scared of getting caught again, so he needs to watch his position, because if he drops, Millenium doesn't have enough continued damage output to just win these fights, unless they start spreading a lot better. What if Cretan gets caught but nobody clumps up on him and people just ignore him? Then those explosive casts will be a lot harder to land.
Well, we've got a lot of Banshee's Veils, we can see there, trying to get rid of that burst from Peke, but as you mentioned, he waited so well in that last fight. Pretty much the perfect barrel that he could have hoped for in that situation. We see that Millenium pushing in towards that base once again, and exposed inhibitor is the prize if they're able to force Fnatic away from it, but they were here just a couple of moments ago, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah, but Cretan has flash, and I doubt he's gonna fall for the same trick twice. He knows if he survives, this fight is over. Fnatic knows that they have to get Cretan, so they're a bit in the catch-22. Like, this guy knows what's coming, and you still need to get him, so you need to outplay him super hard, or you're just gonna lose the game.
I have to feel that it's probably Yellow Star that's going to have to do that to him. As Creator does step forward, dangerous stuff. He doesn't have that Banshee's Veil at the moment, so he is vulnerable to the Cocoon or anything else that they could throw their way. We've got just less than 2 minutes until the next Baron comes up, and here's a question for you. Will Fnatic feel confident enough, or maybe more importantly, do they have to challenge for this next Baron?
I think they have to challenge, because you could see that Millenium was a lot less confident on that push. Yeah, they sure pushed in a little bit, and then they realized Fnatic could fight them. They're like, well guys, let's not try that again. I don't want to lose the game right here. Fnatic has the room to push out these lanes if they have the Baron timer correctly timed, because a lot of the times in these like games where you're getting constantly shoved in, you feel as if there's no hope, and you slip up on a timer here and there. If they have the timer, they can definitely contest, and they should try to get that Baron.
Well, first step is going to be Dragon, which brings them just 3,000 gold behind. We're approaching the 1 hour mark of this game. It's been a slow one, but Fnatic's still in it. We saw that in the last fight. 2 inhibitors were taken down. They're still yet to respawn. Kevin's been the one that's really back there, making sure that the super minions don't actually push too far out. We've got the Baron coming up in less than 1 minute's time. That's surely the decider here. And
Peke now has his Zhonya's as well on top of that Guardian Angel, so he can do the same thing twice, you know, storm in, pop one of them, probably the Zhonya's first, make sure people tunnel on him, maybe even then use his explosive cast on all the members that are tunneled on trying to kill him. On top of that, he has a Guardian Angel, so he has a lot more room to play aggressive, maybe even fake a positional mistake to draw people close and then just let Reckless go to town on them. It's going to be really interesting how they play these fights. Both AP carriers need to use their Zhonya's really well, and once you focus the carry, you need to finish him, because if you don't finish Ziggs immediately, he'll have so much damage on you. If you don't finish Caitlyn immediately, she'll just lifesteal up and wreck your team.
Here we go. Will this be the deciding fight? Baron is going to be spawning in. RNA waiting inside of the Death Brush. Finally does get forced back here from Fnatic, who are trying to get in there. We do see middle inhibitor has respawned now for Fnatic. Where is the pressure going to come? We saw at about 25-30 minutes into this game a dance around Baron, and now almost 1 hour into the game we get a very, very similar scenario. Fnatic up on the top side, they're going to start things off, but are they going to be able to finish it before Millenium start to move across? RNA have gone very, very deep on this, but he will simply back away from things. Fnatic actually taking a lot of damage, or actually it's Peke in particular taking a lot of damage on Millenium. Looks like they're going to make a move up mid.
They have the last piece of super creeps, I believe, going down a top lane, and that's where they want to make their window. Millenium is not going to wait for that. They realize that's Fnatic's plan. They gave up the Baron, as they should, and then they push down mid lane. This forces Fnatic to come, but Fnatic is flanking, and this might be just what they need.
Let's have a look. Peke coming in from the side, going to roll the barrel through. Cyanide actually is going to get caught out. Stood on the mines. Yellow Star's in a bit of a horrible position. He's actually going to use the talisman. This is bad news surely from Fnatic. Actually good damage coming around the side. What are we doing? Get back to the game. Aranea is finally... No, it didn't go down in the end, and there is Curb getting signaled out, blocked by Reckless, but that's not necessarily a good thing here. He can lifesteal that one back up, but it needs to be healthy in case he does get focused down. Middle inhib is dead. Yellow Star's coming back in. They've got it towards Kevin. Have they got the damage to finish off? Reckless knockback. The build over doesn't connect. And Millenium get one in here, but back away. But look in the base here. Look in the Millenium base. Super minions are already onto the Nexus turrets. They've taken one Nexus turret, in fact. And Millenium now having to get back. Is this deja vu in Katowice?
This time it is not expected, but it's a super minions. But the reaction by Millenium, they want that inhib on top lane.
Oh, Yellow Star getting caught out. Kevin gonna get sped up, but here comes Reckless from around the side. Throws down the culling curve. Is focusing on towards that inhib. Peke off towards the side. There is a barrel coming out. They've caught out curve. Creaton's at half HP as well. Can they get any more from this one? They're not gonna keep chasing, or are they? The actions come down. Peke is still chasing. The net slows them. They've got the undertow to slow them. Fnatic push Millenium away.
Risky play by Millenium, going for top lane inhib when they send Aranea to defend their base. Fnatic immediately realizes this. Gragas explosive cast comes back up and they make a pick. One cask on 280 carries is just on 2 carries is what they needed. Both Ziggs and Caitlyn got hit there and they just focused one of them down and they're moving in for Baron.
Millenium are nowhere near this one either. Fnatic, if they just go in there and do this one quickly, there's nothing that Millenium can do. They're going to have to speed Aranea up in there and hope that he can actually do something about this one. He's got his smite available. He's got Ghost even, which he might have to use. But
he's doing blue buff.
He's doing blue buff. They've given this one up. Fnatic, after 1 hour of the game, are going to pick up the Baron.
Blue buff for Baron. I can't say a word from that one. I can understand why Aranea doesn't really want to go for that one because Ziggs is still dead. If he drops dead and does not get the Baron, this game is pretty much done for. They're just hoping for a good fight, but Fnatic is looking very resilient and they're no longer outscaled by Millenium as they were before, and the Baron buff is definitely going to help there. And Pekka is he's understanding these fights a lot better. You see how he evolved during these fights. At first, he thought he was the guy that needed to break open this fight with an explosive cast, but now he's learning that he needs to hold on to that ability and essentially zone all the enemies on Millenium because they're scared. They know that one barrel is going to decide this team fight, and as long as you don't use it, they're playing around the barrel. If it's down, you see Millenium make the switch and they go super aggro, but they can't do that as long as the barrel is up. And then eventually, people get caught, and that's when Pick and follows up with his explosive cast, and he's been doing that really well these last few fights, and it's just getting Fnatic ahead every time.
We are now 1 hour into this game. Don't forget, everyone, this is the deciding match in Group A right now. At least the deciding match for now. The loser is going home. The winner will move through to have a second chance at qualifying for the playoffs. Millenium here storming up through the Fnatic jungle. They've got a wave pushing on that top side of the map. Fnatic having to recall. They've got 2 inhibitors down. Millenium have 1 inhibitor down still? Yeah, I think one it did actually respawn.
Yeah, the top lane,
from that one.
Minions pushed it down and an additional Nexus turret. That's Fnatic stalled them basically. They took losses in bad trades, but they knew the base was going down to the minions, and that's why they did that. It was a good play right now. So both teams are having some inhibitors down, dashes down. What's going to happen, Joe?
I have no idea what is going to happen in the end of this one. I thought this was way over a long time ago.
It should have been.
It possibly should have been, that's for sure. Peke here probably needs to get back towards that top lane. He's just trying to keep those super minions as pushed as far out as he can in the middle lane. The rest of his team doing exactly the same up top. Millenium have a 5-man team on that top side of the map. 2 of them with the Banshees on as well. They need to go before any kind of fight happens.
I like that Millenium's putting the pressure here though. Remember, they're playing against a Baron up team, but they're putting the pressure down because they have the 2 inhibs open. Peck has to defend these super minions. It's getting pretty hard to keep clearing them. At the same time though, Millenium's not really finding an opening. That inhibitor is still on full HP, so this is basically a stand-up amounting to nothing. And while this is good for Millenium, just stalling out the Baron time, Fnatic's inhibs are going to respawn, and that's when they're going to trigger the aggro switch.
Yeah, Millenium did come back up. Millenium's top inhibitor has just respawned. That's bad news for Fnatic. Nexus Tower going down. Both teams now with 1 Nexus Tower apiece. We're going to see them starting to push through onto this open inhibitor. But can they find the opening? Do they dare go for that opening that we've been seeing? Kriton has been focused down so heavily before. Again, Peke has to back away. Kevin's trying to push the mid lane back up, in which that middle inhibitor did respawn just a few moments ago. Cyanide, very ballsy stuff. Stepping on a trap there. No push though from Millenium. Reckless joining in, and they're just swapping lanes here, making sure that those waves don't get too far in.
They're trying to put Kevin in somewhat of a split push role right now because they really can't get in there, so they're trying to get Kevin to lure people away so they can hopefully get that inhibitor, but it doesn't really work, and you can really see what split push means to a lot of teams in terms of closing out games, and why these Season 2 games that we played back in the day were so long and so boring for some people, because there's just a distinct lack of split pushing, and you can't really break open these games because it's like standoff after standoff after standoff with minimal gain.
Kevin moving in for a brief second there. Gets rid of the Banshee's Veil, which is, I suppose at this time, an achievement. Yep, that's what we're going to call it. An achievement to take down that Banshee's Veil. Rest of Millenium now have moved to that middle lane, but you have to feel it's going to be a similar thing. Look at the gold as well, just, well, nothing really separating them. 200 gold is all that stands between these 2 teams over 1 hour into the game.
And that's the 25 gold coming out of Yellowstar's utility tree right there. GP10 paying off. Yeah, it's very close, let's face it. It's gonna be, next Baron is probably gonna break open this game again because no team really wants to push. All inhibs are open or are spawn, but nobody wants to commit to any sort of split push. Nobody wants to commit to any sort of fight. Eventually Baron's gonna spawn, and then teams are suddenly getting really interested in getting that buff to hopefully go a little stronger into the next standoff.
Absolutely incredible game, and you can understand it. It's not your usual group stage. You lose this one, you're going out. The dream of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship trophy goes with it. So these are two teams that play each other pretty damn regularly, of course, in the European LCS, and they know each other very, very well. Millenium had such a solid lead in this game up until that fight where Fnatic pushed it back, took 2 inhibitors, took a Baron afterwards, and now we're back to this point where no one dares even make a move in case it becomes a mistake.
And the fact that Millenium got so far ahead and lost that lead is going to play into their heads a lot. I would have liked to see this game. Imagine if Millenium was behind and then got equal again with Fnatic. They would have been playing a lot more aggressive, but they're just so scared of getting turned on. And then Fnatic just learned their lesson time by time again, and they know exactly how to play these fights. Maybe this stand-up goes off so long that people forget how to play these team fights, and mistakes start happening again.
We've gone past the 100,000 gold mark. When that happens, you know it's going to be a long game. Oh, they're going to come in. Cyanide, Yellow Star off to the side. They need to be careful. That has to be executed perfectly. Soaz does dash forward, gets slowed down to a crawl by J-Ray.
Caught a little bit.
Yeah, he's down to half HP. Probably needs to back away. Millenium tried to get in here on towards Cyanide. That didn't work out for them. Yellow Star will recall, heal up, and come back into that front line on the steps of the base where all 3 inhibitors are back up now for Fnatic.
This would happen about 40 seconds later. Millenium could have backed off and got a secure area clear onto the Baron. However, Yellowstar just bases, probably has home guards and walks back to the fight, and absolutely nothing changed. Millenium's trying to push this really hard and get back and fall back onto the Nasher. At the same time, they'll look at their top wave. It's getting really big, and they need to answer that before Baron spawns, or they might just lose another inhib, and that might break open the game.
It may break open this Baron for Fnatic as well if they see that people are going back. In fact, we have Curb that's going to go over on towards that wave. Make sure that he can clear everything out from that side. Meanwhile, Fnatic have now got the positioning that they wanted on Baron. Only 4 men from Millenium here. RNA are getting caught. There was the barrel. It was too early this time from XPK. There is a solar flare. Completely missed this time. And Millenium are going to try and turn it around. But RNA being blown to pieces. He does have Jerry's ultimate on him. Kevin's got the bomb at the front as well. Here comes a Cullen from around the side. I don't think Millenium can stay and fight this one. Critton down to half, as is Curb. He jumps away. Araneo was low as well. Fnatic going to go back to Baron now. Both
teams like really showing a lack of patience here. They get a catch on Araneo, a good poke, but they perceive that as to be an all-in. But again, they're face checking the brushes now though. And the blue trinket coming to their savior.
Face checking the brushes. Not sure that's exactly what the doctor ordered at this point. Cyanide and Reckless are actually doing Baron. This could be a little bit dangerous for them. Fnatic off towards the side. Kevin trying to get in. He's going to pop his ultimate, but he gets blown up by the barrel. Curb's gone low as well. He's 5 versus 4. 70 seconds on the spawn time here for Kevin. It's 5v4. Surely here, Fnatic have a Baron.
Force them out of the area first and then do the Baron. And that's what Fnatic's doing. And finally, something happens in this game, and Kevin gets popped because they didn't expect it to have his barrel up again. Ziggs ulti comes in. Not enough.
Not enough. Good damage on towards Cyanide, but that's not going to mean too much. Baron goes down. It goes in favor of Fnatic, who pick up the gold lead here in this one. It's 10-8 in turrets. Naked inhibitors on all 3 lanes for Fnatic. Top and mid lane are open on Millenium's side of the map. Fnatic now have Baron though, and 1 kill can mean the game at this point.
Yeah, it definitely can. Let's just jump back how that actually came to be. And if we remember, Fnatic had the catch on Aranea, and they should have just poked him out and then just made somebody face check again. They lost a lot of ultis on that. They lost Solar Flare and Explosive Cask, and that triggered Aranea's mindset. Oh, like these guys are two ultimates down. Let me turn this fight. But Ziggs at the same time was still pushing out top, and he wasn't even in that fight. So while it's a good idea for an Aranea to turn around that fight, because 2 ultimates are down, he did it way too early. So both Fnatic play their card too early, and Aranea as well. So a lack of patience from both teams, and it shows that both these teams have a difficulty in mindset right now because it's such a long game, any mistake is going to get into your head, and this is why Fnatic has an even bigger edge than the gold lead indicates, because they have the momentum. And at this point, after a 68-minute game, momentum means so much.
And I was saying earlier, when Millenium have 3 inhibitors down, that they've struggled to close out games in the European LCS this year, and
I didn't believe you that they could
you
actually...
didn't believe me, no one believed me. They have 3 inhibitors down and they still haven't been able to finish off the game. And now they're the ones on the back foot. Fnatic have the Baron buff on and are waiting at the steps of Millenium's base. Are they going to risk making a move in now?
However, it's very hard. The same thing can be said. I mean, we've always been bashing on Millenium, or not really bashing, we've been critiquing and why they can't push, but look, how are you ever going to push into a minefield after minefield with 3 Caitlyn traps? They have to slowly make their way into the base and use that Nashor regen to clean those traps and those mines, but they're just going to be put repetitively over and over again. So it's very hard for Fnatic as well to siege here, especially given the fact that Lucian has a lot less range than Caitlyn, and Millenium's composition can storm into your team a lot quicker than Fnatic's can.
And then we see more damage being thrown out. Kevin up on the top side, getting hit with the barrels, but are Fnatic waiting for the top wave, because that is pushing out towards the inhibitor. Cyanide actually taking a lot of damage. That's a solid repel though. We'll avoid most of what was thrown in there from Creatine. Yeah, bottom lane pushing out as well. There is a barrel. Nice Sonya's from Kirk. Kevin up at the front. Kirk almost going down though anyway, and Fnatic are pushing in. That's the opening that they're looking for. Bomb comes back, barrel in return. Inhibitor does go down. They've got minions now on the top side of the map. Cyanide takes all the traps. That inhibitor surely right for the taking here. Bottom inner turret has fallen to minions right now as well. Kevin still trying to do as much damage as he can up on the front side, but Reckless is going to be taking it. Aranea goes in, then runs straight back out again.
I don't really get it. At first I thought Fnatic really made a mistake here, not waiting for their minion waves to push in and then actually use the Gragas ability way too early. But Millenium's afraid of fighting, but suddenly they fight.
They're going in for it. Kevin motoring on straight in towards XPeke. There is a Zonya's going to be used. Aranea, is he going to be able to finish off Peke? The barrel comes in. XPeke actually gets it. A double kill from XPeke. Creatine is low. Reckless is chasing. Can he land the cocoon? The slow coming down onto him. But right now, he's 5 versus 3. Fnatic are going down towards the bottom lane. Kerp is there. Reckless does the damage, but the Satchel Charge sends him away. Inhibitor turret goes down. The 3rd and final, surely Inhibitor
lives again.
is going to fall as well. Peke is still alive. He's going to get that regen coming in from the Baron buff. Do Fnatic have the nerve to stay in here? Only one Nexus turret is there. Only one Nexus turret. 40 seconds till Kevin and Aranea do come back up into this game.
This has to be game. This has to be game over. There's nothing Millenium can do at this point.
Yeah,
but how the hell did Peke survive that burst?
The turret goes down, and Fnatic are going to move in on towards the Nexus. They stay alive in the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship and do the